My name is Keren Jayne, spelled Keren, but I'll respond to any form of Karen you call me. And the name of my business, I just have it as Keren Jayne Homes, and I help buyers and sellers, investors, renters all over Northern Virginia.
That is awesome. Can you tell me a little bit of a backstory about how you got into the real estate industry? Tell me your story. I want to know like all the nitty gritty stuff that got you to this point in your career.
Oh my God. How long do we have?
We got time, girl.
Okay. Okay, well, I started in this career, I guess it was about 7.5 years ago. And prior to that, I had been working a few different jobs. But prior to that, I had taken some time off. I guess not really off. I had kids really young. And then when my oldest was little, I kind of worked jobs that I could bring him with me to. And then when I had my second, that didn't really make sense anymore. So I tried to stay home, but being the just busy, always working person that I am, I was still like cleaning houses and nannying and doing all that stuff while I had my own kids, and had the third one during that time as well. But then I just kind of found like I loved my kids, but I felt like I was like losing myself a little bit, just in the.
How do you mean? Yeah.
Well, I like to be busy, like, and I love my kids, but I needed like a mental challenge, I guess what it was.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Being a mom wasn't providing me like the mental challenge that I needed. So my reaction kind of to that, and then also where we were as a family and financially, we needed more from me at that time. So I maybe like went the other extreme and went and got like 4 part-time jobs. And it was crazy. I mean, it was not sustainable, but it was a little bit of a pendulum swing. But also just throwing myself at things to see kind of like what was going to stick.
Yeah.
Because I really hadn't had like a career before having kids. So I was managing a doctor's office. I was working at waitressing at a restaurant. I was working as a transaction coordinator for a huge home inspection company, and I was doing some property management. So 2 of my jobs were pretty involved with real estate. So I was talking to realtors and teams, and ever since I had purchased my first house when I was 22, I had just always been very curious about real estate. And so working these part-time jobs, but that were always kind of in the industry, I learned a lot, and it got to a point where the 4 jobs were not working with 3 kids under 5, and it wasn't healthy for my marriage or my family, and we had to make a decision to cut some stuff out and find a different path. So I decided to get my real estate license and took night classes, got my license, and it's not an overnight thing. Like, it's a career that takes a lot of work and grind, and so I got my I started taking classes in February of 2017. Got my license by the end of March, and then quit 3 of my jobs cold turkey, and just kind of went all in with real estate. And in the beginning of it, I mean, I was dragging my kids all over the place. Like my little one, I have photos of him with his little backpack and his snacks and his books and his juice box, and he would come to my meetings with me, and they got used to,
being with mom.
Yeah. And I was just trying to make the best of it. But that's kind of how I got started. I will say when I first got started, like, I was not very confident coming out of the place that I had been, and I can't say it was a great place. I was, like I said, kind of had lost myself, so to speak. So I was not confident. I mean, I couldn't take a compliment. It was just, I needed to find who I was.
Yeah.
And Aaliyah was a huge part of that for me as I got started in my career. I feel like she was kind of young in her, with Alamond at that time, but I found people like her to kind of just follow and latch onto and get inspiration from, and I learned so much. And I definitely credit a lot to what I learned from her. And I feel like I'm just rambling now.
No. I didn't even know this story about my boss. So this is news to me. I'm gonna be like, yo.
So when I first got into real estate, people in real estate didn't use social media like they use it now. Like now, almost every realtor's on social media. Videos expected, right?
Yes.
But when I first got in, not very many people were using video. Not very many people were using social media.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really dove into that. And oh my God, I look back now and my videos were absolutely horrible. And
It always starts like that.
I wore way too much makeup and it was just.
We all had that phase, girl. Trust me. My eyebrows used to be like super dark, and I was like, oh man.
Yeah.
Why did I do that?
Those thin, dark eyebrows.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It was so bad. And I would do so much eyeliner. It was like, oh my God.
We learned, and now we're here. We had a glow up. We're rocking it.
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe in a few years I'll look back and be like, whoa, she looks
Oh,
weird then
stop
too.
it. No. Well, you look beautiful, and
Well.
it looks like a classic look. That leads me to my next question with marketing. I feel like you are a marketing queen. Like, you're so good at it. I like kind of stalked your Instagram a little bit because I was like, I want to get to know her personality and stuff. And you are so cool. Like, you bring out your camera and just like bust it out. Like, it's just like, boom, right there. Not like thought out or scripted. Maybe
Yeah.
it is, but the way it comes off so cool. And I like that you have your 3 boys. I saw.
Yeah.
And how involved you are. And like, you weren't kidding. Like, they are with you like all the time.
Yeah.
So I think that's so great. It's personable, but it's also giving information and insight about real estate and homes and tips for buyers and sellers. And I think that's great. Tell me a little bit about how you got comfortable, because you said you were not confident. You couldn't take a compliment. I know like Aaliyah was part of that story, but how did you within yourself say, you know what? F it. I don't care. I'm just going to do this. Like, tell me about that for business owners who are struggling themselves right now and they're in that phase that you used to be.
I think you just have to stop overthinking things. Like, I used to like take so many videos and takes and I would watch it back and I'd be like, ooh, and then I would try to edit it and then I would delete it and spend all this time. And like now I'm like, no, nobody cares as much as you do. Like, and so I very rarely watch my videos back. I usually now just try to take it, put it out there. And it's also, I think, more personal. Like, not everybody's life is scripted and looks all glamorous
Perfect.
and perfect. Like, I mean, half the time I don't wear makeup. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm like, so nobody else, like, I don't know. I think I got to a point where I was like, why do I care as much? Like, there's no need to, and the analysis paralysis part of it is like, if I spend so much time trying to make it perfect or be perfect or think there even is a perfect, because is there? Like, it's different for everybody,
Yes.
right? So, so I think I just was like, I'm wasting a lot of time, and I just kind of
You're just
let
like,
it
you know what, let me
go.
just let it go. Exactly.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask you about, I guess, the new law that went into effect this month. I think it was the 17th.
Mm-hmm.
How have you guys been handling that? Or you yourself or your team? Do you have a team with you? Partners, maybe?
Well, so I've been a solo agent since I started in the career. There was a couple short stunts where I partnered, never really a team, but kind of partnered with another realtor. But I've been solo pretty much my whole career. But the March of this year, I did join a team, kind of more in an executive position as their listing director, because they're a fairly large team and a good amount of newer agents, and they just needed somebody that could come on and take on the listing side of things and coaching agents that have never listed homes and stuff like that. So, so I'm involved with a team in that way. Still pretty much, most of my business is my own, and I still run it pretty, very much. It's me. Like, I'm thankful I have like a TC now and stuff like that, but it's all me with my clients. But the new laws that went into effect, and so there's some of it that's new, but for us here in Virginia, there's a lot that's really not that new. It's much newer for people in some other parts of the country. In fact, here in Virginia, we are kind of looked at all over the country as kind of a model state.
wow.
Because our contracts, we've had agency agreements in place since 2012.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so like, there's always been a little more leeway. So like maybe an agent would meet a buyer and show them a couple homes, but that agent couldn't represent that buyer without an agency agreement, which did outline commissions and how the commissions would be paid. Other states, there wasn't. Like a buyer could work with multiple agents at and then it was not very transparent exactly how that agent was being paid. And many places you would see agents advertising kind of like, I can help you buy a home for free, but it's not really free.
Yeah,
like,
no.
so you're getting paid, you know what I mean? So nobody's working for free. So our state really has had that in place for a long time. So in that regard, not a whole lot is changing. Now we are required to have an agreement signed before we show a home now. So it really was the rule before, but now it's very strict because now it's a nationwide
Law.
rule.
Yeah.
It's not really a law, but it's a requirement if you are part of the NAR, which to have the realtor designation, you have to be a member of the National Association of Realtors and usually a local or state association. And really what that does is that sets you apart from a real estate agent because we are held to a higher code of ethics.
Yes.
And that's a whole nother path we could go down explaining that. But the other thing that's changed is that they've just taken commissions out of the MLS 100%. So now the conversation is changing. We're just having more conversation about how agents are compensated.
Yeah.
So I think there's going to be a learning curve, and it'll probably be about 6 months, maybe a year, to see how or if this affects the market and how buyers and sellers transact.
Yeah.
Right now, things are fairly, we're adapting to the changes, but we're still seeing most sellers compensate buyers' agents. Now it's just that compensation has now become part of the contract, the buyer negotiation. So,
So you were a little bit prepared there, like you knew since 2012. I want to scratch what I said before. Like I didn't know. I didn't know since 2012. But another realtor had also mentioned that Virginia was already familiar with this that came into effect. So I was just like, okay, but I didn't know it was that long. I thought maybe like they just knew like 2 years in advance or something.
Yeah. So funny story. I bought my first house in 2012, and the agency laws had just gone into place. And so we wanted to see a house, and naturally, reached out to a realtor that a friend recommended to us, and we scheduled to see a house, and we went to meet her. We got there right before she did, and then she showed up and literally opened up a folder and set down a stack of papers and was like, you have to sign this agreement before I can open the door for you.
A stack of papers. Oh,
and
boy.
The buyer agency agreement probably was 6
pages.
6 to 10 pages. All right. But, and we were like, we just met you. We don't know you. No, we're not signing anything with you. Mm-hmm. And we're like, we just want to see the house. And she was like, well, it's a new law. You have to sign it. And we were like, no. So we ended up, I have to say that it really turned us off. Like the way it was presented, like it wasn't even a call ahead, like, hey, this went into place, just so you know. I'll send you the agreement ahead of time so you can look over it and let me know if you have any questions. It was literally like, hey, we're all here at the property, but before I unlock the door, sign this.
Surprise.
Surprise. So definitely now that it's required.
Yeah.
I think having that conversation before you're like
the way you go about it.
Yeah. So I mean, sometimes I'm meeting new buyers that have just like called in from Zillow and they want to go see a property, and I'm still like, hey, just so you know, I'm going to forward this over to you. Let me know if you have any questions. I will bring a copy, to our meeting, and I will need it signed before we can see the property. Yes. So I try to give them a heads up. But anyways, I tell that story because some agents that aren't familiar with agency relationship, now it's like, oh my God. I was like, I was on the buyer side of this 12 years or
Yes,
whatever.
and look how
Gosh,
much
it was
that-
more, 16 years, whatever it was.
Yeah, no, and I love how that has helped shape your perspective for the other end, because you've been on there and you know, like, okay, this left a bad taste in my mouth. I want to make sure that when I do this, that I don't give someone that experience. Their experience is going to be much better than how it was, you know? So I think that's amazing that you experienced that, though it was not fun. It gave you another perspective on, like, not leaving your clients in the dark like that and just surprising them last minute.
I feel like there should be some sort of rule that, like, realtors have to, like, buy and sell a home every 5 years, just so that they, like, stay empathetic and to, like, because it really is emotional. Like, I don't know. I've joked about that a few times because I don't know that I would work with a realtor that's never been through the process personally. But there's plenty of them that are great that haven't. But it's just, it gives you a different perspective. Sure, right?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. And it's such a big move for in your life. Like, you're buying either your first home or it's your first time selling your first home, and these are like big points in your life that are not just to be taken lightly, I think.
Yeah.
Like, you really have, like, it's like I grew up here and like my family grew up here, and like, am I going to get the best for my home, for my next home? Like, all these things that you think about. So I think having a realtor that can walk you through everything and kind of like hold your hand, or maybe not hold your hand but help guide you a little bit, is so important and great. You want someone who's personable and not robotic and just like, okay, here, sign this, all right, great, have a great life, bye. Like, you know, that's kind of cold.
Yeah. I mean, and the family aspect of it is huge, but then also it's like, these are your like, this is what you work every day of your life, you know what I mean? These are huge financial decisions. You want to be smart, or at least be guided.
No, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. How do you build and maintain relationships with clients and other professionals in the real estate industry?
I stay very active in my industry. I serve on our association's board of directors. I have for a couple of years now. And you know, I'm part of the Chamber of Commerce. So I try to stay connected within the industry. I've always had this kind of motto that we're a very collaborative industry, and if agents can learn to work together and not see someone else as a competitor, we all make it better for our clients. Of course, you know, I'm more of the abundance mindset. Like, there's enough to go around, and what's meant to be for me will be. So, you know, in terms of industry connections, I just try to stay, you know, just be nice. And then, you know, clients and community, I stay involved in the community. I mean, you mentioned my 3 boys. If I'm not working, I'm doing something with the kids, and they're all very active in sports. So, naturally, and my husband is always like, if you do another volunteer thing, like, that's just my natural, like, I'm volunteering for this or volunteering for that. And
seems you've always been like very, like, I need to be doing something. I want something that fills me. So your husband knew what he signed up for.
I mean, he's the same way, right? Like, I remember when they were doing, you know, when they were younger, I was like, you cannot coach more than 2 teams at a time. Okay.
So equally.
So I mean, I work with their leagues, and, you know, I'm just always out and about in the community with the schools, and, you know, with clients. I feel like I need to do a better job sometimes. Like, sometimes I feel like I think I follow up. Like, I do have some automated stuff in process. My client events have kind of slacked a little bit in the last year or so, just because, I mean, but it's hard.
Life.
Especially with kids and sports full time, it's really hard to find weekends. So that's definitely an area of my business that I want to do better on. But I stay in touch via social media a lot. You know, I'm always happy birthday, you know, congratulating them on their kids' sports and wins and stuff. So I try to stay in touch. I wish I did better, but.
No, and part of figuring out where you need to improve improve on is knowing where that is. So I think it's great that you're self-aware that, okay, I need to be better about this. So maybe you can set like a goal for you or change it up and it doesn't even have to be events. It can be something completely different.
Yeah.
Like, change it up. So I think it's great that you're aware that like, yeah, I could do. That's actually a great question I should be asking people. Like, where do you think you could improve on as a business owner? So you've just sparked like, if anyone's like, whoa, where'd you come up with this question? You can reference this episode here that Keren helped me shape in my mind right here, right now. So yeah, I think that's great. And what are some of the most important factors that buyers and sellers should consider when choosing a real estate agent to work with, in your opinion?
Yeah. Do you like them? Because sometimes some of my buyers or seller, like sometimes this relationship is years long, and ideally even after we close a transaction, the relationship doesn't end. So, aligning yourself with someone that you actually like and get along with, you don't have to like agree with all of everything, but somebody that, and then just experience. Obviously, everybody starts somewhere. I did. And I'm always learning. But I think finding someone that is committed to education. So, like, our industry is always changing. Yes. I mean, day to day, it's changing.
Kudos to you guys.
Yeah. But I've worked with some of these agents, and they'll call me up and be like, I've been in the real estate industry for 30 years. I'm a dinosaur in this business. Like, that term will really come back to bite them. But then their next question will be like, hey, do you know about like these new changes? Like, is there something I should know? Like, I'm like, maybe go to your broker classes. Like,
yes, freshen up.
Yeah. So just somebody that is on top of things and ahead, understands their contracts, understands the industry changes, the market changes, and we have to be one step ahead of our buyers and sellers. The internet has so much that's put out there. Mm-hmm. Buyers and sellers have access to so much information, and it can make it very overwhelming for them because there's a lot that's just clickbait. Mm-hmm. So being able to actually understand what's going on, and yes, globally and whatever, or nationally, but really hyper locally too.
Yes.
That's really huge.
Okay. Yeah. No. Thank you. I'd like to ask you, what do you like to do to wind down when you want to set your boundaries and you're like, okay, this is family time, this is me time? What are those things that you like to do? Do you like to garden? Do you like to read books? Talk to me about that.
Oh my God.
If you have time.
That is the hard one for me because I'm a go person. And I mean, my husband will be like, will you please sit down? Like, even if I'm at home at family time, it's like I'm doing a house project or I'm catching up on laundry or something. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I don't take much time at all in trying to get better at that.
It's okay.
But I feel like I'm more anxious when I sit down because that's like when I think of like everything I need to do.
Yes.
But I do enjoy gardening. My garden's a mess right now because I haven't gotten to it for most of the summer. So now I have to like get some nasty clothes on and go out there and pull all the rotten vegetables out of it. So that's not the fun part of gardening. But I do enjoy, that's kind of, I've always said if I'm lost, just check my garden. Like, I'll probably be out there.
I'm gonna drive by your house and be like, it looks great. Okay, she's great. Oh, she's not doing well. Let me knock on her door.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I like to be by water. I don't.
Yeah. Oh.
It's a hard question because I don't take much time.
What about when you're driving your kids everywhere? Like, is there like a song you're like, oh, I'm gonna listen to the song. This is my song. It helps me like just get it out. Or when you're alone, gonna go pick up somebody. In that intimate secret moment in the car with you, what are you doing? What are you listening to? Is it a podcast?
I'm listening to podcasts all the time.
Okay.
Like if I don't have the kids in the car, it's always something educational.
Okay.
Because I don't have a lot of time to sit and read, so that's where I'm keeping up to date with industry and technology and all that kind of stuff. I'm podcasts, audiobooks, whatever. If the kids are in the car, they don't really want to hear my music.
Oh, they're like, Mom.
But the good thing is, like, for the most part, I'll let them take over the music, and they have decent taste. So
Okay, cool. Shout out to the kids. You guys got decent taste.
yeah. So yeah.
Okay, I love that. Where do you see yourself, your business, in the next 5 years, or where do you hope to be?
That's a good question, and I think that sometimes I need to figure that out more. But like part of me is just like I need to get through these years with the kids.
Yes.
Because I see so many different types of paths that people take, whether they're team leaders or they go into management or, and I know there's opportunities in the industry, but I don't know which way I want to go yet. And really right now, my focus is just maintaining and growing my business enough that I can support my family, but also be really present in my kids' lives right now. And then I'll figure that out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I love how honest you are. Thank you for that. Because I'm not, this is not for anybody in particular, but sometimes people always have an answer for it, you know?
Yeah.
And it's okay if you don't. It's
People ask
so
me all the
okay.
time, like, what's your 10-year goal, your 5-year goal? And I'm like, I don't know, because it's not necessarily a thing. It's really a feeling. Like, I just want to have freedom to be able to do what I want with my family and give to the people in my life, right? So it's about having the freedom, not having financial constraints or time, like having a boss, or someone breathing down my neck and telling me how to run my business or whatever. So I don't know.
No, thank you. And I appreciate you saying, like, you know what? I'm not sure. I'm taking it day by day, and we'll see where it takes us. No, I love that. I feel like I'm like, if you were to ask me, like, what is your 5-year? I'm like, I don't know. Can I think about that?
Yeah.
Hold on. So thank you so much. I so appreciate you being honest and not just being like, oh, let me just pull something out of my butt real quick, you know? So thank you. And that's okay if you do, because sometimes you don't know, right? It's fine.
Yep.
Is there anything that maybe I have not asked you that you would like for us to highlight for our listeners or anything? Maybe something that I missed?
I don't know.
If not, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, nothing's popping out at me yet.
Okay,
right now,
cool.
so.
Can I ask, like, what is your makeup, beauty, skincare routine? Because it looks good.
Oh, gosh.
You look great.
Nothing very consistent. Trying to get better, like wearing sunscreen.
Yes.
To be honest, I put makeup on for this, but I've been really laying off a lot of it, just trying to moisturize, put sunscreen on, cleanse in the evening. Okay. And then it was funny. I took a bunch of I have he's not an 8th grader anymore. He's a freshman, but when he was in 8th grade, I took him and a bunch of his friends on a ski trip. And on the way home, I had like 6 8th graders in the car, and they all started talking about girls and makeup. And it was so cute because these boys are really educated on it. And they're all like, and they're like, I don't really like when girls wear like all the eyeliner and like contour and all that cakey foundation stuff. And so I was like, well, what do you like? And they're like, a little mascara and blush is really all they need.
Know exactly.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, that'll simplify my makeup routine. Yeah.
What's going on with the kids today? That's funny.
But it was like really cute how
So cute.
these 8th graders, they knew what was cute on a girl.
On a girl,
not
right?
too much. I was
Like a little blush, mascara. You know what mascara blush is? Okay, I thought it would just be like the stuff that they put on. That's so cute. I love it.
That's cute.
All right. And now my final question is, do you have like a mantra, a motto, or a saying that really speaks to you, that inspires you, that you would like to share with our audience that they could use as inspiration?
Oh, goodness.
Take a moment on that.
I know. I have to think about
I'm
it.
just
'cause I
putting
have a
people on the
lot.
spot here. I don't even have one. I'll think of one too with you.
Yeah.
Let me see. Oh, I have one. It's bad.
No, I want to hear it.
I'm here for a good time, not a long time.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I mean, I don't know. My it's not really a mantra, but it's like kind of what I live by is just like never stop asking questions, like never stop challenging things. Like I tell my kids, like challenge everything. I don't know. and I'm not saying like be a challenging or
No,
like,
no.
that's not, but like you don't take everything at face value. Like it's like always ask questions. I saw something, but I don't know.
Yeah,
So I kind of try to like
always be curious.
yeah, stay curious.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
No, that's great.
Stay curious.
Yeah, stay curious, y'all. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I really appreciate you being here and your honesty and your sweetness and prettiness. So thank you.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Of
This
course.
was fun.
Yeah.
Easier
great.
than I expected.
Yes. See you, Leah. I got you.